You know, I'm sort of at a loss for words, but I reflect a little bit on that great piece of film literature, Wayne's World, where Wayne and Garth encountered Alice Cooper, and they started bowing down, saying, "Not worthy, not worthy." That's that's a little bit how I feel today. We don't do awards in our office because we know that it's never the function of one individual, particularly when you're just an elected hack. It is, in fact, teams of people. And so it is with great humility and honor that I accept the award, but I do so on the part of a whole lot of other people who I am lucky enough to call colleagues in the governor's office. Now, I want you to know that I'm happy to be standing in here for Gary Herbert. It's been an interesting week, to say the least, but I'm also reminded of the three people who sat around together and they tried to define the word fame, what fame actually means in the real world. One offered a suggestion and said, well, fame is getting invited to the White House to see the President of the United States. And the second person there said, well, no, I'm not sure that's right. I think fame is being invited to the White House, and while you're visiting, the phone rings and the President doesn't answer it. A third offered yet another explanation of fame. He said, no, you're both wrong. Fame is being invited to the White House to visit the President of the United States. And when his hotline rings, he answers, and he listens for a moment, and then he says, here, it's for you. Gary Herbert wants to know if it's official yet. A couple of things I just want to leave behind. I know this is not a formal speech by any stretch, but I've just had a flood of wonderful memories hit me from over the last almost 5 years. And first and foremost, I just want to tell you that we have a remarkable state. We have a state that is capable of achieving preeminence in virtually any category. And when we set out 5 years ago to not only try to bridge divides that exist in the community, and there are all kinds of divides that separate people, but to ameliorate them and encourage people to come together under more of a transcendent vision of the future. There are so many categories in which the raw material of this state, the people, make it possible for us to be preeminent. And we have a preeminent economy. We have the best managed state in America. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. But there are just three things that I want to mention, particularly to this group, because you've got, Scott Anderson here, who's, one of my role models in life. Anyone can be governor of this state, evidenced by the person standing before you. But only one person can be Scott Anderson. And he does a lot, and we're all very, very grateful for what it is he does in so many countless ways. But there's something that Scott and Lou and Bill and people like Lane Beatty and others, and so many of you who are in the business world represent. You represent the spirit of enterprise, the spirit of entrepreneurship, without which we're flat. We don't have anything to show for ourselves. We become just another also-ran economy. You can be any economy in the world that you want, but to be extra special, you've got to have that zest for innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship. So point number one is we're off to a great start in so many different categories. We've got kind of a wonderful international agenda out there that we drafted up during our 10-point plan that we put forward 5 years ago. And that was to create a foreign policy for the state, even though states aren't supposed to have foreign policy, and the legislature reminds me of this all the time. But we picked 4 countries with whom we'd create a meaningful relationship. Mexico, by dint of geography and people flow. Canada, by virtue of raw materials, technology, in Toronto, for example, if ever you've seen the Mars Center there. and China because China's China, and India because India's India. And if we can get it right with these 4 countries, just our state of almost 3 million people, that'll be a huge head start. And with these 4 countries, we can create educational links, teacher exchanges, we can create cultural ties, and we can launch trade missions.